Marcus Williams was excited as he walked through the airport, his mother, Evelyn, by his side. Today was not just another day, it was a special trip. Marcus was a successful CEO of a tech company, and he was flying first class to an important business conference. He had worked hard to get where he was, and he wanted to share this moment with the woman who had supported him through every step of his journey. Evelyn was a proud woman in her 60s, with a warm smile and a graceful presence. Encouraged Marcus to chase his dreams, instilling in him the values of hard work and respect for others. As they approached the boarding gate, Marcus felt a surge of pride. He was thrilled to show his mother the finer things in life, things he had worked so hard to achieve. As they stepped onto the plane, Marcus felt a wave of excitement. The first-class cabin was spacious and luxurious, with plush seats and a menu filled with gourmet options. Evelyn settled into her seat, looking around with wide eyes. She had never flown first class before, and Marcus wanted this experience to be memorable for her. He hoped to make her feel special, just as she had made him feel special throughout his life. However, as the flight began to take off, things took an unexpected turn. A flight attendant named Jenna approached their row. She was in her 30s, with a stern expression and an air of impatience. Evelyn smiled at her, hoping for a friendly interaction, but Jenna barely acknowledged her. Instead, she turned her attention to Marcus, who was busy arranging his belongings. "Can I get you anything to drink?" Jenna asked, her tone lacking warmth. Marcus replied, "Yes, please. My mother would like a glass of water, and I'll have a sparkling water." Jenna nodded but rolled her eyes slightly, as if annoyed by the request. "Sure," she said, before walking away. Evelyn looked at Marcus, her smile fading. She could sense the tension in the air, but she didn't want to spoil the moment. Moments later, Jenna returned with drinks. She placed the sparkling water in front of Marcus and handed Evelyn a glass of water without making eye contact. "Here you go," she said flatly, as if it were an inconvenience. Evelyn's cheeks flushed slightly, and Marcus felt anger bubbling inside him. "Excuse me," he said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Could you please treat my mother with more respect? She's not just a passenger. She deserves to be treated kindly." Jenna shot him a look of annoyance. "I'm doing my job," she replied curtly. "If you want something more, you can ask." Evelyn placed a hand on Marcus's arm, trying to calm him down. "It's all right, dear," she said softly. But Marcus couldn't shake the feeling of injustice. He had always taught himself to stand up against disrespect, especially when it came to his mother. As the flight continued, Marcus watched his mother's expression change from excitement to disappointment. He felt a strong urge to protect her from this unkind treatment. The humiliation she experienced weighed heavily on his heart. He wanted to make things right, not just for his mother, but for anyone who had ever been treated poorly because of their appearance or background. With the flight still in the air, Marcus decided he couldn't let this incident go unnoticed. He would find a way to stand up for his mother and ensure that no one else had to endure such humiliation. The journey was just beginning, and he was determined to take action. The moment would define not only their trip, but also a turning point in how he would confront injustice in his life. As the flight soared through the clouds, Marcus sat quietly next to his mother, Evelyn. The initial excitement of their first-class experience had dimmed, replaced by a thick tension in the air. Evelyn stared out of the window, her smile fading as she replayed the earlier encounter with the flight attendant in her mind. Marcus could feel the weight of disappointment pressing down on her. He wished he could take away her embarrassment, but he also knew he had to do something to address the situation. A little while later, the cabin crew began serving lunch. The aroma of delicious food filled the air, and Marcus's stomach rumbled in anticipation. He watched as other passengers around them received their meals with smiles and friendly conversation. But when Jenna approached their row again, Marcus felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "Here's your meal," Jenna said, placing a tray in front of Marcus. She then handed Evelyn a plate, but did so with a hint of disdain. "Hope you enjoy it," she added, her tone sharp. Evelyn's face flushed again, and she looked down at her food, feeling small and disrespected. "Thank you," Evelyn said quietly, trying to muster a smile. But her voice lacked its usual warmth. Marcus could see the hurt in her eyes, and it made his heart ache. He felt anger bubbling up inside him once more. "Excuse me," Marcus said firmly, raising his hand to get Jenna's attention. "Can we talk for a moment?" Jenna crossed her arms, looking annoyed. "I'm busy right now. Can't you see?" "I understand that, but this is important," Marcus insisted, keeping his voice steady. "I need to speak with you about how my mother is being treated. It's not right." Jenna rolled her eyes, clearly uninterested. "Look, I'm just doing my job. If you have a problem, take it up with someone else." Marcus felt a rush of frustration. He had always been taught that respect was fundamental, regardless of rank or position. You're supposed to provide service, not make. "My mother feel unwelcome," he replied, his voice rising slightly. At this moment, Evelyn placed a gentle hand on Marcus's arm. "Please, dear, it's okay. Let's just eat and forget about it," she said, trying to calm him down. Marcus couldn't let it go. He knew that ignoring the issue would only allow it to continue. Just then, another passenger, a middle-aged woman sitting nearby, leaned over. "I couldn't help but overhear." "I agree with you," she said softly. "It's unacceptable how she spoke to your mother. We all deserve to be treated with respect." Encouraged by her support, Marcus turned to the woman. "Thank you. It's not just about us. It's about everyone who faces this kind of treatment." As Marcus spoke, more passengers began to nod in agreement. They shared stories of similar experiences, and soon the atmosphere shifted from one of silence to solidarity. The flight attendant's behavior had struck a nerve, exposing a deep-seated issue that many were willing to address. Feeling empowered by the collective support, Marcus leaned back in his seat, ready to take action. He knew he had to report this incident to someone in charge. It was not just for his mother, but for everyone who had ever felt belittled or disrespected. He glanced at Evelyn, who was now looking at him with pride in her eyes. In that moment, Marcus realized that standing up for what is right was crucial, and he was determined to make a difference. As the plane continued its journey, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He decided that he would not let this moment pass without a fight. It was time to make his voice heard. The incident had ignited a fire within him, and he would do whatever it took to ensure that his mother and everyone else received the respect they deserved. As the flight continued cruising at 30,000 feet, Marcus felt a mix of determination and anxiety building within him. He couldn't shake the feeling of injustice that had taken root after witnessing how his mother, Evelyn, was treated. With each passing moment, he knew he had to take action. He glanced over at her and saw she was still trying to enjoy her meal. But he could tell her spirit had been dampened. After finishing their lunch, Marcus took a deep breath and stood up from his seat. "I need to speak with the head flight attendant," he announced to the nearest crew member who was busy clearing trays. The attendant looked up, surprised by his sudden demand, but nodded and quickly walked away to fetch someone. Within moments, a tall man in a crisp uniform approached. His name tag read David, and he had an air of authority about him. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I assist you?" David asked, his voice calm but firm. Marcus took a moment to gather his thoughts. "I want to discuss how my mother was treated by one of your flight attendants," he began, trying to keep his tone respectful. "Her name is Evelyn, and she was made to feel unwelcome and disrespected during this flight." David raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting to concern. "I'm sorry to hear that. What exactly happened?" Marcus recounted the incident, explaining how Jenna had treated his mother with sarcasm and a lack of respect. She was simply trying to enjoy her first-class experience, and instead, she felt belittled. "That's not acceptable," he stated. Firmly, David listened attentively, nodding as Marcus spoke. His expression grew serious as he realized the impact of the complaint. "I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. It's important to us that all passengers feel valued and respected. I will investigate this matter right away." Feeling a rush of relief, Marcus continued, "Thank you. It's crucial that this behavior is addressed so it doesn't happen to anyone else. This isn't just about my mother. It's about everyone who travels with your airline." David nodded again, completely understand. "I'll ensure that this is taken seriously. I'll speak with the crew members involved and review what happened." Just then, Jenna approached, her demeanor suddenly more subdued. She had clearly overheard the conversation and looked apprehensive. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, her voice lacking its earlier edge. Marcus turned to her, feeling a mix of anger and disappointment. Yes, there is a problem. Was treated poorly, and that's unacceptable. I'm speaking to your manager about it. Jenna's expression changed to one of defensiveness. I was just doing my job. I didn't mean to offend anyone. Marcus shook his head. It's not just about what you meant. It's about how your words and actions affected my mother. We deserve to be treated with kindness, especially in first class. David stepped in, sensing the tension. Jenna, I think it's best if we discuss this privately. Thank you for your service today, but we need to ensure that our passengers feel respected. As Jenna walked away, Marcus felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He had stood up for his mother, and it had felt empowering. Evelyn watched the exchange with a mixture of surprise and pride. She had always taught Marcus to stand up for himself and others, and now he was living that lesson. David turned back to Marcus and Evelyn. Thank you for your patience. I'll make sure this situation is handled appropriately. Your feedback is invaluable. Marcus nodded, feeling hopeful. I appreciate that. It's important for everyone to feel respected, regardless of who they are. As they settled back into their seats, Evelyn smiled at Marcus. I'm proud of you, my son. You stood up for me and for others. That takes courage, Marcus smiled back, knowing that this was just the beginning. He was determined to ensure that their experience would lead to meaningful change, not just for his mother, but for everyone who deserved respect on their journey. As the plane continued its journey through the sky, Marcus felt a sense of purpose and determination growing inside him. He had stood up for his mother, but he knew that one conversation wouldn't be enough to bring about real change. He wanted to ensure that the treatment Evelyn had received was not just a one-time incident, but a wake-up call for the airline. After the exchange with David and Jenna, Marcus decided to take action. He glanced around the first-class cabin, noticing that some passengers were still watching the situation unfold. He knew that many of them had witnessed the disrespectful treatment his mother had endured. Inspired by their support, he decided to reach out to them. Excuse me, everyone, Marcus said, raising his voice slightly to gather attention. I know many of you saw what happened earlier. My mother was treated unfairly by one of the flight attendants, and I believe it's important for us to speak up together. Several passengers looked up, their expressions shifting from curiosity to agreement. A man in his 40s, sitting 2 rows ahead, nodded and spoke up. I saw what happened. It was disrespectful. No one should be treated that way. Felt a rush of hope. Exactly. This isn't just about my mother. It's about ensuring that every passenger is treated with dignity and respect. If we all voice our concerns, maybe we can make a difference. A woman sitting next to the man chimed in. I completely agree. We should support each other. It's not just about this flight. It's about changing how things are done in the airline industry. More voices joined in, creating a chorus of agreement. Marcus felt empowered as he listened to their stories. Passengers shared their own experiences of feeling disrespected or ignored while traveling. Each tale added to the growing sense of solidarity in the cabin. Encouraged by the support, Marcus decided to organize a group discussion. Let's write a letter together to the airline's management. We can express our concerns and request that they take action to ensure better treatment for all passengers. The passengers nodded enthusiastically, and a woman offered to help gather supplies. She pulled out her pen and some paper from her bag. As others joined in, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was no longer just about a single incident. It was about standing up for what was right. Evelyn watched her son with pride. She had always known he had a strong sense of justice, but this was different. He was rallying support and inspiring others to speak out. It was a beautiful sight to see how he was turning a negative experience into a movement for change. As they began to write the letter, Marcus encouraged everyone to share their thoughts. They crafted sentences that expressed their disappointment and highlighted the importance of respect in every interaction. It was a collaborative effort, and soon the letter took shape. It was filled with heartfelt words and a strong call for action. After they finished writing, a young man offered to read the letter out loud. His voice was clear and steady as he shared their collective message. Passengers listened closely, nodding in agreement as he read. Marcus felt a sense of unity wash over the cabin. When the letter was done, they all signed it, and Marcus felt a sense of pride swell within him. They were not just passengers on a flight, they were a community standing up for one another. He knew this moment would resonate far beyond their journey together. As the plane prepared to land, Marcus felt hopeful. He believed that their collective voice would be heard. The incident with Jenna had sparked a movement, and he was determined to see it through. With his mother by his side and the support of fellow passengers, he felt ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. As the plane began its descent towards the airport, Marcus felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The letter they had written together was now safely tucked in his bag, and he was ready to hand it over to the airline's management. He knew that their voices mattered, and he hoped that the airline would take their concerns seriously. Once the plane landed and the seatbelt sign turned off, Marcus and Evelyn were among the first to stand up. They gathered their belongings and made their way towards the exit, feeling a sense of urgency. As they walked through the terminal, Marcus spotted David, the head flight attendant, waiting near the gate. He looked serious, but there was a glimmer of understanding in his eyes. "Marcus, I'm glad to see you," David said as they approached. "I've been informed about the letter you and the other passengers wrote. I want to assure you that we take these matters very seriously." Marcus nodded, feeling a surge of hope. "Thank you for listening. It's important that the airline understands how crucial it is to treat every passenger with respect. We just want to make sure this doesn't happen again." David's expression softened. "I completely agree. I've already spoken to the management team, and they are reviewing the incident. Your letter will be part of our investigation. We want to ensure that our crew is trained to treat all passengers equally and with kindness." It just then, a woman in a business suit approached them. She had an air of authority and confidence. "Hello, I'm Emily, the CEO of this airline," she said, extending her hand to Marcus. "I want to personally apologize for the treatment your mother received on our flight. That is not how we expect our staff to behave." Marcus was taken aback. He had not expected to meet the CEO so soon. "Thank you for speaking with us," he replied, shaking her hand. It was surprising to see how one incident could affect so many people, but I believe it highlights a bigger issue. Emily nodded, her expression serious. "You are absolutely right. I have already begun to gather feedback from our team, and the passengers who were on that flight need to ensure that this does not happen again, and I appreciate you bringing this to our attention." Evelyn stepped forward, her voice steady. "I just want to say that flying should be a positive experience for everyone. No one should ever feel humiliated or disrespected, especially while traveling." Emily listened intently, her eyes focused on Evelyn. "Thank you for sharing your experience. We will implement new training programs for our crew to ensure that they are equipped to handle all passengers with the respect they deserve." Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. "I appreciate your commitment to change. It means a lot to us." As they spoke, other passengers who had signed the letter gathered around, eager to share their support. Emily took the time to listen to their stories, taking notes and expressing her gratitude for their feedback. The atmosphere shifted from tension to understanding. As everyone realized that their voices were being heard, after speaking with the passengers, Emily turned back to Marcus and Evelyn. "I would like to invite you both to our headquarters for a meeting. I want to hear more about your thoughts and ideas on how we can improve our service." Marcus was surprised but excited at the opportunity. "We would be honored. Thank you for considering our input." As they exchanged contact information, Marcus felt a sense of hope. What had started as a painful experience had transformed into a chance for real change. He looked at his mother, who smiled back at him with pride as they walked away from the deep airport. Marcus realized that their journey was far from over. They had sparked a conversation that could lead to a better experience for all passengers. With his mother by his side, he felt ready to take on this new challenge. Together, they would ensure that respect and dignity would be at the forefront of the airline's values. After their meeting with the airline's CEO, Marcus and Evelyn felt a sense of accomplishment. They had turned a negative experience into an opportunity for change. The journey home was filled with discussion about what they had witnessed and the impact they could make together. Marcus was determined to follow through on the promise he made to his mother and the other passengers. The next day, Marcus received a call from Emily, the CEO. She wanted to update him on the steps the airline was taking in response to the incident. "Marcus, I want to thank you again for your courage in speaking out," she began. "You have started an internal review of our crew's training procedures. Your input will be invaluable as we move forward." Marcus felt a surge of hope. "Thank you for taking this seriously. It's important that the airline creates a culture of respect and kindness," Emily continued. "In addition to reviewing our training programs, we are also implementing a new feedback system that allows passengers to report any incidents of disrespect or poor service directly to management. We want to ensure that every voice is heard." Marcus was encouraged by her words. "That sounds like a great step forward. It'll help hold the staff accountable and encourage better behavior." As the days passed, news of the incident began to spread. A local news station caught wind of the story and reached out to Marcus for an interview. They wanted to hear more about what had happened during the flight and the steps being taken to address the issue. Marcus agreed, seeing it as another opportunity to raise awareness. During the interview, Shear shared the story of his mother's humiliation and how it had affected them both. He spoke passionately about the importance of respect and dignity for all passengers, regardless of their background. The reporter listened intently, nodding along as Marcus emphasized that everyone deserves kindness during their travels. As the interview aired, it resonated with many viewers. People began to share their own experiences of feeling disrespected while flying. Social media buzzed with comments and support for Marcus and Evelyn. The airline was placed in the spotlight, and many began to call for change within the industry. Within a week, Marcus received another call from Emily. "Marcus, I wanted to let you know that the airline has decided to take further action," she said. "We will be holding a press conference to announce our new policies and the changes we're implementing based on your feedback and the feedback of other passengers." Marcus was thrilled. "That's wonderful news. It's great to see that the airline is willing to take a stand." The press conference was scheduled for the following week, and Marcus and Evelyn were invited to attend. On the day of the event, the venue was filled with reporters, airline staff, and concerned passengers. Emily stood at the podium, ready to address the crowd. "Thank you all for being here today," she began. "We are here to discuss the recent incident that brought to light the importance of respect and kindness in our airline. We are committed to ensuring that every passenger feels valued and safe when they fly with us." Marcus watched with pride as Emily outlined the new training programs, the feedback system, and the commitment to diversity and inclusion within the airline. Audience listened closely, and Marcus could feel a sense of hope in the air. The change they had advocated for was finally happening. After the press conference, many passengers approached Marcus and Evelyn, thanking them for their bravery. It was clear that their actions had created a ripple effect, inspiring others to speak up about their experiences. As they left the venue, Marcus turned to his mother, his heart full. "We did this together, Mom. Our voices made a difference." Evelyn smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "Yes, we did. This is just the beginning." Together, they walked out into the bright sunlight, knowing that they had started a journey toward a more respectful and inclusive airline experience for everyone. The weeks following the press conference were filled with excitement and change. Marcus and Evelyn watched as the airline implemented its new policies, promoting respect and kindness for all passengers. The feedback system was in place, and the crew underwent training to better understand the importance of treating everyone with dignity. It was a hopeful time, and they both felt proud to be part of this transformation. One afternoon, Marcus received an email inviting him to speak at a conference about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. The organizers had heard about his story and wanted him to share his experience. He felt honored and accepted the invitation. Eager to spread the message of respect and equality beyond the airline industry as the conference day approached, Marcus prepared his speech carefully. He wanted to convey not only what had happened on the flight, but also the importance of standing up for one another. He believed that everyone deserved respect, regardless of their background or appearance. With each practice session, he felt more confident in his message. On the day of the conference, Marcus stood in front of a large audience, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. He glanced at his mother, who was seated in the front row, beaming with pride. As he began to speak, he shared the story of his mother's experience and how it had sparked a movement for change within the airline. He spoke passionately about the need for all businesses to prioritize respect and kindness in their interactions. The audience listened intently, and Marcus could see that his words resonated with them. He encouraged everyone to stand up against disrespect, no matter where they encountered it. With each story he shared, he saw heads nodding in agreement, and he felt the energy in the room grow stronger. After his speech, attendees approached Marcus to thank him for sharing his story. Many shared their own experiences of feeling disrespected and expressed their hope for a future where everyone would be treated with kindness. Marcus realized that his message was not just about one incident. It was about creating a culture of respect that extended far beyond the airline industry. Meanwhile, Evelyn had been inspired by her son's success. She decided to start a community group focused on promoting kindness and respect in public spaces. She reached out to friends and neighbors, inviting them to join her in discussions about how to create a more inclusive community. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and soon they were planning events and workshops to raise awareness. As the months went by, Marcus and Evelyn continued to advocate for respect and inclusion in their respective platforms. They collaborated on initiatives that focused on creating safe spaces for open dialogue, where individuals could share their experiences and learn from one another. Their message was clear. Everyone has the right to be treated kindly, and it was up to each person to be a part of the solution. One day, while attending an event organized by Evelyn's community group, Marcus looked around the room filled with diverse faces. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey they had taken together. It had started with a painful incident on a flight, but it had blossomed into a movement for change that touched many lives. As the evening came to a close, Marcus and Evelyn stood together, reflecting on everything they had accomplished. "Come so far," Evelyn said, her eyes shining. "I never imagined our experience would lead to all of this." Marcus smiled, knowing that their journey was just beginning. "This is just the start, Mom. We will keep pushing for respect and kindness in everything we do." Together, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not only advocates for change, but also symbols of hope, showing that one incident could lead to a ripple effect of positivity and transformation. With their hearts full, they looked forward to the future, ready to continue their mission of promoting respect and kindness in the world.